Risk is our business, James T. Kirk once said. That's what this starship is all about. That's why we're aboard her. More than a half-century later, the performer who breathed life into the fabled Enterprise captain is, at age 90, making that kind of risk his own business and heading toward the stars under dramatically different circumstances than his fictional counterpart. And in doing so, William Shatner is causing worlds to collide, or at least permitting parallel universes to coexist, the utopian spacefaring vision of Star Trek in the evolving, increasingly commercial spot that space holds in the American psyche. When Shatner boards Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin NS-18 in Texas at around dawn Wednesday, his one small step into the craft creates one of the ultimate crossover stories of our era. It's about space and exploration, sure, and certainly about capitalism and billionaires and questions of economic equity. But it's also about popular culture and marketing and entertainment and nostalgia and hope and manifest destiny and, well, you get the idea.
What will I see when I'm out there? Shatner wondered last week, talking to Anderson Cooper on CNN. An equally valid question is this: what will we see when he's out there? It will be a complex blend of human dreams superimposed upon technology and hope, braggadocio-owned cash, and the notion that space travel elevates us, all orchestrated by a company under criticism for what some call the decidedly utopian, tech-bro ways that it operates. Is all that in Star Trek a good fit, since its 1966 premiere with one of the most diverse casts TV had ever seen? Trek has grown from Gene Roddenberry's fever dream of a wagon train to the stars into an intricate transmedia universe full of subtleties and traditions and rules. Among them, human beings avoid killing each other. Money is generally outdated, as are hunger and poverty. Greed is aberrant. Non-interference in other cultures is the most sacred principle of all. And within the United Federation of Planets, the spacefaring United Nations of Star Trek, exploration, not domination, is the coin of the realm. In short, unlike a lot of humanity right now. That 1966-69 original series used allegory to evade network censors and tell stories about racism and xenophobia and even the Vietnam War. How could they get away with all that? Because the adventures of Kirk's Enterprise took place against a backdrop of 23rd century space travel, something directly relevant to the world as well, given that humans first set foot on the moon 47 days after the original series' final episode. Over the next half-century, backed by a vocal fan base, Star Trek roared back for more and, in the process, led the way in cementing space travel as an ideal canvas for relevant storytelling. Even as NASA's Apollo era leapt into the Space Shuttle program and eventually into uncertainty, Trek remained one of the culture's central vehicles for a spacefaring future. Michelle Nichols, who played Lieutenant Uhura on the show, was a particularly tireless advocate, working with NASA to recruit Americans of color and women and make sure they could occupy the center of such ambitions as the missions marched forward. In the 1980s, movies about the original crew dealt with aging and regret. Star Trek: The Next Generation offered a more cerebral but still utopian vision. Another spin-off, Star Trek: Deep Space Nine, set at an outpost preserving a delicate detent, presented a darker take, but still one in which avarice was anomalous and worthy of scorn. And Enterprise, a 2001-2005 prequel, offered a season-long arc about the aftermath of a 9/11-style extraterrestrial attack on Earth. Two of the latest iterations of the myth, Star Trek: Discovery and Star Trek: Picard, have dipped deeper into darkness than their predecessors and have toyed with the notion that not all humanity wants to be quite that utopian. In all that varying storytelling, though, one constant remained: the notion that human space travel would become a vector of ethics and goodness that elevated the galaxy rather than plundered it. Which brings us to companies like Blue Origin, Elon Musk's SpaceX, and Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic, endeavors that build their brands not upon countries but corporations. They offer the culture a late-stage capitalism variation on the theme, a narrative that space travel isn't just for scientists and diplomats but for you and me, too. If, that is, you and me happen to have a few $100,000 or more of walking around money on hand. The United States always has had private people working for the public purpose, says Ravi S. Rajan, president of the California Institute for the Arts and a Trek fan since childhood. But how much is done privately and how much is done publicly, that changes. Many have impugned the billionaire space mogul's actions, including the Secretary General of the United Nations, and the troubles of Blue Origin's corporate culture well documented of late. But the motives of the Amazon founder himself remain unclear. It is evident, though, that the popular culture of space travel has influenced him deeply. Bezos, who tells a story of exploring space to help ensure Earth's continued prosperity, is a longtime Trek fan. He made a cameo as an alien Starfleet official in the 2016 movie Star Trek Beyond. And according to biographer Brad Stone, Bezos even fleetingly considered calling Amazon Macatso.com, after Captain Jean-Luc Picard's favorite command in Star Trek, The Next Generation. The whole ethos of Star Trek showed people who were different looking, with different skills, working together. We are in the opening moments of something like that, says Richard B. Cooper, Vice President of the Space Foundation, a non-profit that advocates for the global space industry. People can look at this environment and say, hey, I belong there, too. Prohibitive costs aside, Cooper has a point. Though the likes of Shatner may not be regular people, the shift from the dominance of the test pilot and the scientist tracks with the populism of our era, where, it must be said, the exactitude of science is being called into question as never before. And as Cooper points out, it gives people hope. And if there's one thing the world's in short supply of, it's that essential payload. That kind of storyline, hope, heroism, competitive dominance and an unerring sense of competence that can at times overlap with testosterone, could be one key reason why the commercial space outfits are thriving. At a moment when NASA and nation-focused space travel lacks a compelling Hollywood narrative, the entrepreneurs and their marketers step right in.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.